Most people would understand that today in Australia we are in the middle of a property boom. And like all good property booms, there is a lot of misinformation out there about how things actually work, what's true, what's false, and what's right for you. Today my team have sent me through some more videos to react to of some advice out there which could be good, probably not, but could cost you tens of thousands of dollars of your strategy. All right, let's check out the first one.
Hey, how do you fix unaffordable housing? Add supply. You've got to add supply of new homes. What about demand? I actually can't see much outside this supply issue. But the demand issue is kind of all around you. You're just not dealing with it. Do you mean supply? No, demand. Like the way you guys are maintaining huge tax incentives for property, lowering deposit sizes, all while the central bank is cutting interest rates. Hey, I can't do anything about that last one. Look, we're doing supply, all right? I actually can't even see these so-called demand issues. It seems deliberate. How's supply going, by the way? We are running a few 100,000 behind target, actually. So not good then.
His page is pretty awesome. I think this probably speaks to a bigger point and probably a bigger issue that's underlying our situation here. Australian property, guys, we have the best property market in the world, and I stand by that fact. The problem that we have right now is our leadership. It's the government. All the problems that we have today when it comes to property is poor government decisions. And this is just another example of Chris just highlighting the fact that that's the world that we're in. The government today, just in the last 12 months, we have brought in over 400,000 people into this country. We're struggling to build 100,000 homes a year, right? Now, when it came to COVID grants, all the pressure they put on the construction industry during the COVID years, notice how it was the government intervention that caused a major backlog in construction. Part of the reason why we can't supply the houses is all because of government decisions. Now, one simple way of making things easier right now would be to reduce immigration. Notice how the government's not doing that. The government is not really focusing on supply. They're continuing to increase the demand. For the average person, all this is going to be doing is making houses more affordable and push home ownership further and further out of reach for the average person. Now, if you've been paying attention to the media in the last couple of weeks, notice how the government's now talking about inequality. They're now talking about things being unfair for people, and yet all they're doing behind the scenes is throwing more fuel to the fire. Here goes video number 2.
How many new houses does Australia need? 1.2 million over 5 years, apparently. Oh. Is that to fix the housing crisis or stop it from getting worse? Neither. How much land is that?
That's just to maintain baseline, by the way, guys.
But I know someone who probably will.
34 square kilometres.
Told you we'd know. What? The plan is to fill 34 kilometres of unused space inside the cities?
Yeah, every year.
But that's like...
Yeah, that's 26 times Melbourne CBD.
Has anyone said how they're going to pull that off?
Yeah, well, look, basically they're going to find all this land because it's too expensive to keep spreading out. They can't afford the infrastructure. And not only that, they have to actually increase the amount that the construction industry can build, increase the productivity of the construction industry by about 30%.
Okay. Cheers. Bye.
There is a saying, guys, the uninformed voter, which is pretty much where Australian politics is at right now. And keep in mind, guys, us as Australians, like, we're the ones who voted for these morons who are running the show. Again, Chris is really speaking to the fact that we are unfortunately being governed by boneheads. Right now, the government's overall strategy is to densify each city, right? That's fill more people into the square kilometre, things like apartments, things like battle axing, things like redoing zoning so you're going to build 2 or 3 houses in your backyard. This is not a great thing for Australian property, and this is not a great thing for a society. In fact, if you look at most other mature cities, for example, you go to places like Europe, places like Spain, you can see essentially how hundreds and hundreds of years of property development has actually worked over time. Here in Australia, we're almost like teenagers. I consider us almost like adolescents right now. The reality is the government's approach of just densifying each city, not only is it not going to work, but it's not what the people want, right? What I mean when I say that, they'll build apartment buildings. They'll offer them out to the market. It takes them years to sell because people don't want apartments. They want blocks, detached dwellings so they can have pets and kids. That's the great Australian dream. Let's go for video number 3. Oh, rough. Unfortunately, again, is the effect of poor government decisions, guys. Now, I'm not going to sit here and just continuously keep blaming the government. Actually, no, I am going to do that because it's all their fault. Guys, when we don't pay attention to demand and supply, this is ultimately the outcome. Everyday people, and you can see in this video in front of us, guys, like most people on here are probably in their 20s and 30s just trying to get a freaking rental. This is not even about buying a home. This is about getting a rental. If Gen Z, millennials, can't afford to buy their own home, and then there's 92 of them fighting over the same rental, we are being led by morons. Here comes video number 4.
The residential market's quite overcooked. To get into a house in Sydney at the moment, I think the median price is 1.2 million now. Whereas commercial, you can go and buy a factory unit for 300 grand and it's going to give you solid income, 7-8% returns. Pull those profits out, pay your debt off a lot faster, and then move on to another one. With all our owners, no one owns one commercial property. They own 3 or 4 or 10 or 50. And no maintenance. You don't need to maintain industrial. You just hose it out when they leave and boom, put a new tenant in there. The maintenance is nothing. The tenant repaints it while they leave. That's part of their make good. Tenant in office space. If the carpet's not good, replace all the carpet, repaint the whole thing, take all your fit out away. So as a building owner, you don't have to do any of that. There's heaps of reasons why I think commercial is better than residential, but that's just a few.
One thing I'm going to say is this, and look, to be clear, I do believe in commercial. Commercial's fantastic. And for the average person out there, commercial probably won't be suitable. Residentials are going to be a lot safer for the average punter. One of the benefits of buying a commercial property is the fact that the tenant, the business that rents out that premise, pays for all the expenses. So maintenance, land taxes, property management, literally everything is all done by the tenant. So the owner collects the raw cash flow. The problem is, and what these guys are not talking about firstly, commercial property is based off economic performance. So when the economy is booming, there's a lot of demand for certain industries. That means there's going to be more demand for businesses opening, and therefore there's now demand for commercial real estate. Right now, guys, notice in the media, what they're talking about right now is us going through a recession. If we are heading towards a recession, you generally don't want to own commercial property because that's where businesses start to fail. Now, if you can find a really good commercial property that has a tenant, fantastic, purchase it. It's great. The problem you're going to have, it can take months, if not years, to find an appropriate tenant for a commercial property. So if you're someone who wants to get into the market, you want to buy a commercial property as your first investment property, do you have the ability to hold on to that property for at least 12 months without having a tenant? If the answer is no, don't even consider commercial until you've got more properties under your belt. So there you go, guys. There are my thoughts and advice on those videos. If you guys see anything out there that you think that you want us to talk about, please send it to our team and I can discuss it on one of these episodes.